Hi guys, thanks for joining the Dogs of War YouTube channel. Today we got me, Angelo, and Tree. What's up? Greetings. We're doing the unboxing for, what was the name of this chapter pack?
North.
Prize of the North.
Prize of the North, sorry. And let's start right off the bat.
We should have the box out here.
True. Good idea.
Hold the box up. Like,
yes. Or like set it up in front of the microphone.
Alright, so the first card up is, we'll start with Baratheon. This is a Defenders of the Wall. They're a 2-cost, 3-strength, military-only icon, Night's Watch army character. No attachments except weapon. Defenders of the Wall may be declared as a defender during military challenges initiated against you by players running an agenda, even if it is already kneeling. Right off the bat, the art is fantastic. I really love the artwork on this piece of on this card. Yep. Again, they just hit it out of the park.
It's Stannis' guys and Night's Watch guys together, and that's cool.
So very thematic. So they're a Night's Watch and an army as well. These guys are interesting. You're getting a 2-cost, 3-strength character. If you're running them purely out of Baratheon with no Night's Watch sub-theme, what does this give you? Well, it gives you a defender for military challenges every turn, as long as your opponent's running an agenda. If you're running Night's Watch, this is when these guys become really good. So if you're running the new copy of the Wall, which we'll get to here in a little bit, they gain a power icon if it's winter, which is now makes them a 2-for-3 bicon that can be kneeling and defend military challenges. Importantly, they're an army, so if people play Must of the Realm still, it's still a card. And a first turn Must of the Realm, you can drop a 2-cost army and your opponent thinks they're safe for military challenges is always a good option. But if you guys run these guys in a Night's Watch deck is I think where they become really, really good. Because now you're paying 2 gold for a 3-strength Tricon that while knelt can defend military challenges. Are they fantastic? No, but I think in a very specific deck type, which is Night's Watch, which we're starting to see Greyjoy is becoming, not Greyjoy, excuse me, Baratheon is becoming the Night's Watch house more so than Stark ever will. I think they're really good. And we now know that we're getting a lot of the monocon stuff in the game. At least 2 houses are going to have monocon military, and these guys shut them down, hands down. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're 2 strength, these guys are 3, I've won the challenge. Have a nice day. So I think he's a good card, you know, for specific decks of that type.
Until you play a Night's Watch agenda, then they get stopped by Riverlands Hunter, and whatever the Greyjoy character that is the monocon military is coming up. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think overall, I mean, again, you can't argue with 2 for 3. It's always good.
Someone who can block while kneeling is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, you're not giving your opponent unopposed, which is always good. Like, who cares if you lose the challenge? You're probably going to have enough dudes that you can go, I'll kill them, who cares? But the unopposed is always good. Giving it. So.
I like it. I love building theme decks. So, more cards in Night Watch is always good. Like, Angelo talking. The previous cycle was supposed to be a theme cycle, going back to old keywords. We didn't see a lot of Night Watch.
Yeah, we saw 2 characters for the Night's Watch. One of them was Jon Snow, which was a great Jon Snow, but it's still a character we've seen a couple versions of.
And then here we see two cards, you know.
3.
Oh, there's a 3
cards that are basically
Night Watch cards. So I'm all for Night Watch. So
I like that. Like most armies, it's no attachment except weapons. So you can put a flaming sword on it. You can put other weapons on it. You can carry siege weapons. And Burn has a harder time killing it than the average character.
Yep. So that's 3. I mean, Deserted Castle, 1-cost Baratheon, Stronghold, any phase. Kneel Deserted Castle to choose a Baratheon character. Until the end of the phase, that character gets +2 strength and gains the Night Watch trait. Again, back to the Night Watch. I like the theme, you know. It's a buffer. It buffs up the units. I wish it would have not been a Baratheon character. It would have been a Night Watch character. It would have been kind of cool. But you know, I don't know why I like Night Watch to be neutral. I don't like it to be associated to a house.
Well, fluff-wise, it's what it
makes sense. Yes.
And let's point out here. This is probably one of the best cards Baratheon's seen in a long time. It is a non-unique 1-cost card that gives you +2 strength in a challenge. I mean, this is fantastic. And not only that, but it gives them the Night's Watch trait. What's so great about the Night's Watch trait? If you're running all the agendas, if you're running Night's Watch, you tend to probably run all 3 simply because it is important to have those Tricons. It's what makes Night's Watch good. Now all of a sudden you're turning Stannis, who has Vigilant and stupid keywords on him, into a Tricon with +2 strength. And you can use this multiple times. Now you can give, if you have all 3 in place, Stannis is +6 strength, Tricon, who's going to stand up after every challenge he wins. Yeah.
King Stannis is immune to locations.
Oh, There you go.
Robert
we have
Robert
Baratheon.
Baratheon is doing awesome things.
Any card that is going to be able to participate in multiple challenges, like most of the Night's Watch can.
And flowers.
Yeah, Knight of Flowers, another good example.
Swing away.
So I mean, anything that's one cost for a 2-strength swing, and especially if it's non-unique, it's just absolutely great.
Yeah, because if you have 3 of these in play, that's pushing +6 strength on a character if you really need to get past something big. Or it's pushing +2 strength on all 3 of your challenges. It's awesome.
And you don't have to run it in a Night's Watch deck either, which is fantastic. It doesn't have to be a Night's Watch character, it's just a Baratheon character. And as we know, the next card coming up, giving them the Night's Watch trait becomes even more important.
Yep, I get the card that makes the other 2 even sillier. I have the Wall. It's a unique location for Baratheon. It's 3 cost. It has the North trait. It's prized 1, so if your opponent destroys it, they're getting a power. If it is winter, each of your Night's Watch characters gains the power icon and the Baratheon affiliation. And on any phase, kneel the wall to stand all Night's Watch characters you control.
Art is amazing.
And yes, the art is amazing. Alright, so between this and the previous card, you're making all of your neutral Night's Watch characters Baratheon characters. You can turn your Baratheon characters into Night's Watch characters, and then you can stand all of them once per, I guess as an any phase action once per turn. This card's pretty bonkers. I don't know if it's better than the Old Wall. The Old Wall was pretty good too.
What was the other one? Remember?
So the Old Wall was...
It made all of your Baratheon characters
Night's Watch characters,
and gave them a bonus
they
if
don't,
it was winter, I think.
What was it? They gain Vigilant, or they don't kneel to attack?
I believe it's don't kneel to defend.
They don't kneel to defend, that's what it was. So you basically had an entire army on your board that never knelt to defend. So the idea with the deck was you would always go second, essentially, and then defend all challenges and then swing back. I would like to point out what's cool about this is we actually have an attachment for locations that gives them Vigilant in Baratheon. You can abuse the hell out of this.
Yep.
You HOD it, and then now all of your characters, you drop, I mean, even if you don't make it winner, and you just go with the stand, we already know that repeatable stand effects in the game are broken as hell. Anything that can allow you to stand a character up numerous times, Maesters are going to love this. They can trait manip themselves over to Night's Watch any day of the week, and now all of a sudden you have repeatable stand for a Maester? I mean, that's just silly.
And the other big thing here is, if you wanted to run this not HOD, you actually want to run this as, you know, a Baratheon, you want to run with the Night's Watch agendas. If you run 2 or 3 copies of this and put it into play, you don't have to run the power agenda.
Yep.
Which means that you need 2 less power to win the game, which makes a big difference in these decks.
Yeah.
When you only need 19 instead of 21. And a lot of the core Night's Watch characters that have icons, the ones that have icons, usually have military and power or just have power. So not having to run that agenda and not having a lot of guys with no icons is still pretty good.
Well, and the winter sub-theme is fantastic too, because as we just saw with the very first character in this pack, almost every single Night's Watch character that I can recall off the top of my head right now is always undercosted for the strength that's printed because they have to have the agendas in play to be good.
Yeah.
So losing that 1 gold is actually okay, because they're not going to, you yourself are not going to care probably as much as your opponent does.
So 3 costs, you think is that too much?
It's
I think
perfect.
3 costs is very fair.
Especially for House of Dreams.
And the Old Wall costs 4, so this one's even cheaper than the Old Wall.
Because you can't HOD the old one, which is unfortunate.
You can.
I thought it was 3 costs or lower.
No, you can HOD it. It's just
okay.
it doesn't do anything till it's winter.
Yeah. All right, my turn. The Lonely Light Envoy. This is our first Greyjoy card. He has a 2 cost, 2 strength, mill power. So already you're getting a well-costed character for just stat line. He's a Bannerman, which we know is always good. I don't know if the Greyjoy, but I mean the Greyjoy Bannermen are pretty decent.
The Good Brother group
Yep.
is all Bannermen and make each other fairly powerful.
And actually, that's a good point. This is actually the first, I think, non-Good Brother Bannerman we've seen for Greyjoy.
In quite a while, besides like Banner from the Sea or whatever it was from the original sets.
So, this is the spoilers. This card, straight spoilers from the book. If anybody has not read the preview chapters from the upcoming Winds of Winter book, this card kind of spoils it. But if you control a
No, I'm joking.
if you control a Martell character, Lonely Light Envoy gains an intrigue icon. If you control a Targaryen character, Lonely Light Envoy gains immune to plot effects. So I will say it makes sense if you've read the spoiler chapters. If not, you can probably interpret why it's been printed the way it has. But this is interesting because this is, again, we're seeing these cards where they're trying to tell you, here's what FFG thinks good faction combinations are for Conquest. Or for multi-housed characters that might exist within your faction. Is it great that these cards are printing? No, because I mean, a lot of people are you really going and saying, man, I really wish I was playing Martell with my Greyjoys. A lot of people probably aren't. But it always opens up that option, and I'm kind of cool with that. I like the idea that they're trying to expand the game state into a sense where, you know, maybe you do want to run a couple out-of-house characters or some type of...
I think that getting an entry icon doesn't make me want to run Martell characters in my Greyjoy deck. Immune to plot effects makes me want to run a Targaryen character.
Yeah, he can't
too.
die. Valor? Sorry, no.
This man doesn't die.
Yeah.
For Valor. if you have a Targaryen character, so. And I like that it's really for a character. You can't be running Aegon's Hill in your Greyjoy deck to be able to get this guy's immunity. You actually have to be running characters.
And isn't the Knight a Targaryen Greyjoy character? Or Dragon Chaser, what's his name? They have a multi-house one.
Yeah, he's got, I think he's the Ambush and Intimidate on the 2-strength guy, so that could work.
So, I mean, you could use that. I mean, maybe it's an excuse to play him now, so you get 3 of these dudes on the board that can't be killed by Valor.
I don't think there's a Martell Greyjoy character.
Not that I can recall off the top of my head.
I do like they said already. I like them being multi. I like them giving you a choice to.
I like that they encourage you to play multi-house.
Yes.
It's not going to be great. These guys, by the way, are going to be awesome in a neutral faction deck because they only cost 3. And I'm assuming that if some of the other, Martell or Targaryen gets a character like this, all of a sudden you're double dipping and.
That's I'm curious. I'm curious if the other faction is going to have this one included, and that you then Tree said you could double dip.
Because having a bunch of, if you also have a bunch of guys who have immune to plot effects and all of a sudden they're Tricons or have other cool effects, I mean, that could be pretty powerful for non-unique, having a bunch of non-unique characters who would basically cost 3.
Exactly. Alright,
So that's me. That's true.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, you.
Okay, Shadows 0. Farwynd Explorer. It's a Greyjoy. Worship. House Greyjoy only. Response. If you're the first player, bring Farwynd Explorer out of Shadows to cancel a triggered effect. 2 influence. And like Tree said, it's so good.
It's not unique.
Yeah, it's not unique.
It's not 2 influence, it's 2 initiative.
2 initiative, sorry. 2 initiative. I think it's good. Well, what I'm thinking is if you put 2 for Shadows, leave it there, then I could trigger it at any time to bring it out of Shadows. It does not have to be the beginning of my turn.
Yeah, because it's a response.
Yes.
So, no, it can be canceled. It is a response.
Yes, it can be canceled.
So here's my issue with this card. It's a good card, don't get me wrong. And actually, as a guy who's actually been playing a lot of City of Shadows in the last few months, I like this card because it slots perfectly into that deck. My concern... City of Shadows removes the house restriction.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it's the Lannister agenda.
Sweet.
It's basically the Shadows agenda.
So the problem I have with this is that Greyjoy already has enough things that cancel stuff, and they already have enough initiative boosters in the faction. It's great that it's a warship, because hey, the more warships for Greyjoy, the better, right? The only thing it really does give you is a surprise cancel, which you already got cards in your hand that are doing anyways. So what do you take out of your deck to put this in? You're not going to drop Seasick, you're not going to drop to be a Kraken or anything like that. So where does this slot into current Greyjoy decks?
I think it gives you different options. If your plots are such that you don't want to run a military battle, this replaces to be a Kraken because you don't have to run a military battle. If influence starts to become a thing again, this replaces Seasick.
True.
Because Seasick is completely dead against someone who's got a standing Sunset Sea. Because they can just kneel an influence to satisfy
But you know, in a world where Harrenhal lives now,
oh, absolutely, yeah.
Do you really choose this over Harrenhal is the problem? Or are you ever going to bring it out of Shadows if your opponent's running Harrenhal? You're not, because now you're paying 2 gold for your opponent to cancel it. I mean, that's the problem I run into.
If I can get one of the 3 triggers off my opponent's Harrenhal off of a free card, or a card that I put into I spent at some point to put into Shadows, and it doesn't make this card go away. I still get my 2 initiative.
If it didn't have initiative, then it would.
And I do like the fact that the first one you bring out enables the next 2 better.
True.
Because you're going to all of a sudden, note that you don't have to have 1 initiative. You need to be the first player. So if your opponent plays Retaliation, this card's alive. If
or just passes first player to you.
Yeah, if they want to be if they want to take the defense, basically, they're giving you the option to use this, and it may force people to play higher initiative stuff to try to beat Greyjoy to avoid this card.
But the only concern I have right now for Greyjoy, it's not my primary house, although I do dabble in it, is that they continuously push this warship, warships, more warships.
2 out of 3 cards in this pack are warships.
And at what point do you start to run into a situation where you're just not getting good characters anymore? And all you're getting is more warships and more warships and more warships, and that's cool and everything, but you have to have dudes in play for the warships to be good. So
I think they've done all right on characters. I think it's good that they push this. As we can see, there's another house in this pack that it hits another theme that is a little sad for them. We'll get to them now. Up next, we have the Longship Iron Wind, which is another Greyjoy warship. Like I said,
surprise!
2 out of 3 cards agree they're warships. It is a 2-cost warship It's a location. It's prized 1, and it has the following action: challenges. Kneel Longship Iron Wind to put a character with printed cost 2 or lower into play from your hand.
He's prize 1 too.
That's it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a big important note on this. This may be the first of these effects that I've seen that doesn't say if it's still in play at the end of turn, put it back in your hand.
Yep.
This is a free 2-cost dude every turn, as a surprise to your opponent.
I think that's
good 2-cost dudes are there.
lots of Greyjoy.
You have Theon. There's a couple of Theon Greyjoys. Wex Pike is a 2-cost dude. Both versions, I believe.
Yeah. Boatswains are
the Boatswain's a 1-cost. Damphair's Drowned are a 1-cost.
Yeah. Most of the Good Brothers.
Throw refugees into play for claim token.
So,
surprise.
Here's and the lonely guy.
Yeah, that guy.
The only saving grace with this card, in my opinion, is that it's a warship. To be fair, I mean it is, because time and time again, nobody builds decks using 2-cost reducers, which is what this is. This is a 2-cost reducer that you use during the challenges phase instead.
It's more than that.
And
I will tell you that it's more than that.
the surprise character is cool. I actually think it would have been better had it read and it's participating in a challenge. If you could put the character directly into a challenge, it would have been a lot better.
You can do this after the point where your opponent has done stealth.
Yeah.
You can kneel it and declare that character as a defender.
I totally agree. But I think Greyjoy's more of an offensive house that I think had it read, you could do this in the middle
to throw it
into the challenge. I think would have been a
okay. So you want to be able to add a guy to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm attacking. You could declare defenders, and all of a sudden I kneel this, and he can participate in the challenges. I think that would have been fantastic.
Greyjoy's got a lot of naval guys.
Yes, you can do it with naval. I will say that naval is the one way you could actually play that.
And there's
you can still you can still do that. You could put bring a guy that has naval icon and then add him to the.
But you have to use the naval to do it.
Yeah. You can't do declare an attack. They declare defenders. You say, oh, surprise, another attacker. They have to be a naval guy. However, there's an important card. There's an important word missing off this card that actually makes it really powerful. You asked what 2-cost characters Greyjoy has for this.
Oh.
Yeah, no, you can slam in whatever 2-cost character you want, and its printed cost does not need to be a Greyjoy character.
So the penalty does not added to it?
Correct.
It says printed, yeah.
Because you're not paying the cost. It says it's whatever the printed cost is.
2 is not added to the printed cost.
Correct. If you want to, if your opponent's running, and this would be a really weird deck, I know, but if your opponent they have an attachment that's trouble, I will kneel this to put in Dragon Thief to kill that attachment. There's so many options with that. It all comes down to deck building, and I think for the most part it is just going to slap more Greyjoy guys into play. It puts Windermere into play as a surprise as a save. Makoro 3-cost.
Yeah, Makora's 3.
Okay, so it can't do Makoro, but it can do Windermere to do some saves. You can slap Atlantis is 3 as well. But anyway, there are lots of good 2-cost guys, like this next one.
Yep. It's going to me. Ashemark Councilior. This is our first Lannister character.
Angela's favorite kind of character.
Yes.
More ways than one.
Lannister's favorite.
Not just because he's a Lannister.
2 costs, 2 strength, intrigue icon, prize 1, House Marbrand, which we'll talk about in a second. While Ashemark Councilior is participating in a challenge, characters with more than 1 icon do not count their strength. We've seen these characters making the rounds already. I'm finally happy we've gotten the Lannister one. It's the one thing that's been missing, I think, for Power Behind the Throne to be a competitive deck again.
Yeah, he's a spy from Starfall.
These guys are just, all these characters I think enable a lot of really, really cool deck plays for their houses. Lannister has always had the problem of being the intrigue house, but a lot of times Martell and even to some extent Greyjoy can marshal more intrigue on the board than you can.
Stark has started doing it.
Yeah,
too.
and Stark. So now,
concerning.
being that there's very few characters in the game that are mono intrigue icons, there's a lot more mono power and mono mill than there is mono intrigue. He becomes very good. If he becomes so prevalent, you might see cards like Ghost of Highheart making it back around again because it's one of the few neutral mono-con intrigue icons on the game.
You might see Stark decks running House Tully Septon, or Septon.
But this guy is just, I can't begin to tell you how amazingly great he's going to be for Power Behind the Throne decks. The cool thing about him, and you look at a card like Cersei, a lot of people misunderstand Cersei's text. You just have to win an intrigue challenge. She doesn't actually have to participate at all. You just normally throw her in because she doesn't kneel. But in this case, you just have to swing with one dude. You're going to win unopposed challenges 9 times out of 10 with just this guy. Now, of course, does he have the other problems that most Lannister decks have? Yeah, he's susceptible to burn and all those fun things, but...
He's not an ally.
Yeah, he's not an ally. But he is House Marbrand, which is interesting because we don't really have any support in the house for House Marbrand. It's that weird house trait that they just put in the game for some reason. We haven't seen anything.
There
really
are a few of those in this pack, which is kind of.
There are. It looks like it's going to be one of those, maybe those sub traits we're going to see picked up in the next cycle, or maybe we already know that Klansmen and Sand Snakes. Maybe we'll start seeing some of the lesser houses get benefits too.
Or it might just be a fluffy thing that they wanted to add in, and it has no like House Clegane. House Clegane stuff hasn't had any kind of a benefit at all. It's just there because it should be on the cards that should have it.
So interestingly enough, with these guys too, where I think a lot of them really make back their cost, is that just because your characters don't count their strength, as long as you've won the challenge, you're considered as having participated, which means things like Renown still fire. Any effect that fires off that character participating in and winning a challenge still triggers. Unfortunately, you cannot use them with the new Tyrion, which I think would have been so awesome. I mean, a guaranteed card out of your hand that goes into play every turn. But the one downside to Power Behind the Throne has always been if you can't win consistent amounts of intrigue challenges, you're going to lose the game. And even worse, if your opponent can win intrigue challenges against you, you're going to lose. 2 of these guys in play means you get 1 for attack, 1 for defense. Yep. You're never winning an intrigue challenge against me. It's just never going to happen.
And it's great for the mirror match.
Yeah.
If I'm playing Lannisters and I play another Lannister, again, Cersei is the strongest card in the Lannister deck. He ignores her, you know, and he's strong.
There's so many strong bicons or tricons in those decks that having this dude just to say no is just, it's amazing.
He combos amazingly with our new Warden card too.
Yep.
Because he's a prize character. So I spend 2 gold on Neil Dude. And no, I trigger my Neil location. Now Neil location 2, I'm just playing this guy, which
I don't remember. All of them are prize 1?
Yes. All of them are prize 1.
Okay.
I've actually talked about, I have this really awesome idea to build a neutral house deck that runs every single one of them. So I'm interested to see what that's going to turn out to, since now we've finally gotten all the icons. So.
And it looks like all houses are going to get one.
Yeah, Greyjoy is the only one who hasn't gotten one yet. So.
And presumably that's coming. It'll be a military because we've had 2 power, 2 intrigue, and we'll see in a few cards a military one.
But he's great. I mean, Lannister decks are probably going to be becoming something to be feared again, with a card like that being in the game.
Marbrand Outrider, 3 cost.
So much talk about this.
Lannister. Strength 2, military and intrigue icons. House Marbrand. Ally. Price 2. Response. After 1 or more cards are discarded from an opponent's hand, reveal the top card of your deck and add it to your hand. You have seen Angelo's rants about card draw. This
reveal.
About card not draw.
Yeah.
Reveal.
Again, this card is adding cards to your hand without bypassing the draw cap, and which is good. And with this can trigger twice on a Power Behind the Throne. That's 2 more cards in your hand. The strength is kind of low for its cost, and price 2 is a hefty tag. Especially since he has the ally trait, which is an easy way to kill. But the effect, it is powerful.
There's a lot of chatter on this card.
Yep.
You either really love it or you really hate it. I'm actually leaning more towards the hated side.
As am I.
If this had been a Martell card, he would have been 2 cost 2 strength and price 2 probably. I mean, let's be fair, he would have been. He legitimately would have been.
Or alternatively, he wouldn't be an ally.
He wouldn't be an ally. The problem is the 3 cost slot in Power Behind the Throne decks right now is very steep. It's very, very hard to find space in the deck for a 3 cost character in Power Behind the Throne. And yes, you could argue that the response is powerful. It's a response that can be canceled.
It doesn't require him to be challenged.
It does not.
It doesn't even require to be a challenge. You could be playing. You do rule by decree, and this dude draws you a card.
You have to build a deck to use them.
And King's Road.
Threat from the east.
The King's Road.
The King's Road.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Road. Anything that discards. I mean, even Martell has cards. Discard a card from your hand to do X. The problem is that you got to find the room in the gold in the deck to play in.
And having strength lower than his cost always hurts.
It does.
And
he's completely burnable, so he's going to be a dead card in any Lannister deck that's playing against Martell.
Worse, he costs you 3 gold to hand your opponent 2 power at that point.
And every time he'll do it. Every time.
Also, he's good also in just be devil's advocate.
Absolutely.
On the Martell Lannister deck, we were watching that over the stream. I'll play the Martell land, strip all your icons. Go ahead, discard a card.
Yeah.
Oh, you discard a card, I'll draw one.
So he could do some stuff out of house, but
I mean, even if
in that case he's priced 3.
Yeah.
I mean, he's priced 3. They detention him for 3.
If he was priced
20% of the power they need.
If he was priced 1, even I could live with the 3 cost and the ally trait. Or even if his ability read, if it wasn't just 1 or more, if it was for every card they discard, you reveal and add.
That'd be way too
Again,
that'd be like, that's price 5.
But as as an ally at 3 cost for prize 2, I actually almost think that'd be more balanced than what this card. Anything would have been better than as he's printed now. Now, if you build
you can make it worse, but
you can build a deck to
could be
abuse him.
hard.
Don't get me wrong. You can abuse the hell out of him. But in a house that already has draw cap every turn without even trying,
Yep.
Do you really have a problem that you need to add more? I mean, yes, it's reveal and that's great and everything, but are you really going to be willing to put him on the board and trade 2 power? For...
I'd rather have drawn most of the other cards in my deck.
Exactly.
At that point.
He's one of those characters when you see him, if you see him on your first turn Fear at Winter turn, you're going to love him. You don't see him on the first turn Fear at Winter turn, you're going to hate him. You know, and that's really what I kept boiling down to me when I kept looking at him is, I just don't know where I'm going to put him in the deck, is the unfortunate part. So.
Alright, I've got the House Dayne Escort. He is a 2-cost character. He's got 2 strength. He has a military icon and an intrigue icon. He's a bannerman, and he has the House Dayne trait. He has the following text. If you control a Greyjoy character, House Dayne Escort gains Deadly. And if you control a Targaryen character, House Dayne Escort gains immune to plot effects. Apparently, hanging out with the Targaryens makes you immune to plot effects. I think this guy's fantastic. He's decent in a House Dayne deck, which we have someone who plays it locally. And House Dayne just loves to flood the board. He doesn't get any bonuses from Starfall or any of the other typical House Dayne stuff, but he does provide you another body for the board. If you run him in a Greyjoy deck or with a Greyjoy character, he gets Deadly, so Deadly's pretty good. But again, with a Targaryen character, he becomes immune to plot effects, which means that they can't tap him down with the city plots. They can't kill him with the city plots. He becomes immune to Valor. He doesn't get bounced by First Snow.
Threat from the north.
Threat from the north doesn't hurt him. I think it's fairly cool that they took this guy who is like the Greyjoy Bannerman as well, but they actually chose to give him a house affiliation, which kind of gives him another home in a different kind of deck.
So here's what I like with this, right? So we got the new Longship that allows you to drop a 2-cost character into play, which he is.
Yes, this
and so you build him into your Greyjoy deck, and now you end up with these 2 guys, one of which becomes a 2-for-2 Tricon, and the other guy becomes a 2-for-2 military intrigue, which you know, Greyjoy always wants more intrigue icons, but it gains Deadly.
Yep.
Which actually, as I think about it, there's probably a lot less characters in Greyjoy Deadly than a lot of other houses have. Now that I actually
they only have a few. They have a ship. They do have a ship that hands it out.
Yeah.
But they have a ship that hands out just about everything.
So being able to drop that guy into play for free, and now you trigger 2 different effects, that's maybe not so bad, you know?
So one thing, just to be...
And also, he doesn't require the other, the Greyjoy, was it Lonely Light Escort to be in play to hit his effect? Any Greyjoy character will trigger him.
Yeah.
If they make a Targaryen guy like this, or if you build a Targaryen deck that has both those guys, I think it's going to be cool.
How is hanging out with Targaryens makes you immune to plot effects? And I don't know if there's a single Targaryen player card that is immune to plot effects.
I can answer that. George R. R. Martin's not allowed to kill Daenerys.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, look at what's happening. The Targaryens are the longest running house in the entire game, and essentially they've survived
in the story.
Everything that's happened to them.
Yeah, but none of the characters have immune to plot effects, but they do give it to other people.
Immune to plot effects is a pretty rare thing, and I think to see 2 cards that can have it in the same pack was a surprise to me, and I think it's a cool thing to have out there, because all of a sudden it means that, it's not a save, so it gets around things like Wildfire, Assault, and Aftermath, which we see later in the pack. And I think it's just a very strong keyword, and it's on characters that make you work to get it. And I like to see, if you're willing to put in the work to get this guy and the Greyjoy guy with a Targaryen character, that they become really strong.
Neutral man. My neutral mono deck is coming together. Now I run all the Banner Escort guys and now all
that way when they valor away all your monocon guys, you have a board of bicons.
that are all
of them have super effects on them.
Who's saying it?
Edlo.
Alright, Seneschal Ricasso. He is a unique Martell character, 2 cost, 2 strength, intrigue power icon. He's learned, which is always a fantastic crest.
First crest of the pack.
He's an ally, and he has response. After he leaves play, choose a prize character in your dead or discard pile and put it into play under your control.
Where's my prized Red Viper?
Yes. That was actually the first question that came out when he was printed. Because everybody was actually surprised we haven't seen a prize Viper yet.
That's true.
So here's my thoughts on this guy. He's not broken. He's actually...
No, Viper.
He's really good. I like the fact that he's not expensive. He's an ally, so he can easily be discarded, which you actually kind of want him to be discarded so you can trigger his ability, which is kind of cool for Martell. It's like, go ahead. You know you really want to discard this guy. Where he really shines, though, is he's recursion, which we know when already in the game, whether you like it or hate it, recursion is a very powerful effect. Arguably almost broken in the game to be able to recur consistently cards out of your dead or discard pile. And Martel has gotten some really good prize characters in the recent cycle. And
only one named one, though, as far as I can remember. You have the name, I'm trying to remember, the ones we have so far are the Dorn Martel, who's prized. You have Spy from Starfall, who's fantastic. And I believe there's a 2-cost Bicon that has Naval.
well, we also have the guy that
The House Dayne.
who can come back into play and use icons or whatever. So there's another option there.
He comes back on his own, though. He doesn't really need this guy.
The interesting thing about this is, though, is what is it setting them up for? That's the real question you have
I think
to ask
there's
yourself.
a future price card.
It obviously is setting you up for something, or it's meant to be ran out of house with something else.
It doesn't say a House Martel prize card.
It does not.
So you grab whatever character you want back with, oh wow.
And let's be fair, we haven't seen a lot of overly powered characters yet that are prized.
Daenerys.
Daenerys is good.
Seems like the big one.
I could use him to get back Tyrion, for example, if you're able to kill him and stuff like that. But I think he's one of those characters, again, that's setting us up for something in a future cycle, or maybe even the next pack that we haven't seen spoilers for yet, that maybe there is going to be a really, really good named prized Martel character, or some character that you really want. The downside of this is also really balanced, because when that character gets dead or killed again, or discarded again, you're going to gain the prize power from the second time.
Yeah.
So, he's really well balanced in that way. But really what he does is he begs you, go ahead, dissension me, please. Please remove me from the game. I want you to.
He's a great military claim. Until then, he's got to learn Chris. And one thing that this card and the next card brings up, that was brought up on the Card Game DB forums, I hadn't even thought of for this. This pack adds 2 new 2-cost Bicon unique Martel characters to play with Quentin.
Yep.
These are characters that when Quentin's an agenda, they're going to have Vengeful, they're going to be drawing you cards, and that's fantastic.
Yep.
Talking about prized Martel cards. That's me. Elia Sand. Elia Sand. Unique. 2-cost Martel. String 2. Military Intrigue. Sand Snake Bastard. Prize 1. Challenges. Choose an opponent who controls more characters than you, which is almost everything.
Which is a theme for Marcel.
Yeah.
It's a good theme.
You may declare an additional intrigue challenge against that opponent this phase. This is so
Yet another reason why the Viper needs to be restricted.
No, Lannister, use
This
Lannister.
is good.
Play this in your Lannister.
No, she will.
Absolutely play this in your Lannister.
But another reason, honestly, let's look at her now. Let's really look at her. What does she do? She gives the Viper another renown.
Yep.
Which is just stupid.
And preferably, hopefully another unopposed after he gets lost.
And another Lost Oasis. I mean,
I'll play it.
if there's never been a time in the game where Red Viper needs to have something done about him, it's now. I mean, let's be fair. The current game state as it exists currently, the Red Viper is the only reason why Martel wins as much as they do. I mean, and you can build a fantastic Martel deck that doesn't.
He's the finisher.
He is.
He's usually the finisher in most decks.
And a turn 1, turn 2 Viper, as we already saw in the regionals, which will have in another video, is brutal. It very much is a brutal card to see on the board, and it closes out games better than any other character in the game does. And there's characters that have similar abilities to him that are on the restricted list that are less powerful than he is. So to see this card get printed, which basically, let's be fair, she is very much printed to enable the Red Viper.
Of course she is.
Yeah. But I do like the fact that she's a Sand Snake, because we know we're getting more Sand Snake support in the next cycle, which I'm really excited about, because Sand Snakes are missing 1 or 2 things to actually be a very competitive deck right now. Harrenhal helped us a lot to get us there, because you can actually prevent the cancels of the cards you need to fire to actually get your Sand Snakes into play. And the other thing they're missing is an effective way to get off enough challenges in one round that you can win, because they're going to battle the board next turn. So being able an additional intrigue challenge, and if eventually we get some way of giving them renown, it's going to be fantastic for Sand Snakes.
I believe.
Or
I
Crest
thought one of the previous Sand Snakes already gave them all.
No, there's an event that you can play in combination with getting them all into play that gives them renown. It's if a Martel character is killed, all of your Sand Snakes gain renown.
Gotcha.
So you have to, the whole combo really then requires 3 or 4 cards. It's kind of kludgy. But if you just want to get them all on the board, we need some way of giving them the additional challenges they need.
I really like they're pushing some of the Sand Snake characters. We first saw it with Obara, and now with Elia. They're pushing them out of janky combo land into where you actually really want them in your deck.
Yep.
And they no longer require a dozen of them to do anything good. This one is great on its own. Obara was good on their own. I think they're going in the right direction from that one.
And it makes you wonder though, when FFG designed the Martel faction, that this whole concept they win by losing, if it's almost spiraling out of control for them, because you start to see a lot more and more Martell cards get restricted because of that whole mechanic of we become more powerful the more we lose.
I believe that they've evolved it, and I think that maybe they needed to have done it sooner, and I think that's what the restricted list is kind of doing to them. They've gone from we win by losing to we're better for having less characters, which I think is a much more balanced version of than we win from losing. Because not only if you win by losing, you're keeping your opponent from winning too, which is again double dipping.
Yep.
Up next we have the Riverlands Hunter. He is a 2-cost, 2-strength military icon character. He's House Tully. Go House Tully.
Yep.
Love the fish. He's prized 1, and while Riverlands Hunter is participating in a challenge, characters with more than 1 icon do not count their strength. We've talked about these guys. You guys have talked about it in previous things. I'm going to say one thing here. This guy makes Siege even dumber.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden, to win a military challenge, I push this guy in. That's good.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more there is to say, but
I mean, he's House Tully, and we
he's
know
House Tully, and
there is so much support in Stark for Tullys.
and there's more coming.
Yeah, and until recently, we hadn't had enough Tully cards to really make it a viable deck outside of the jankiness of the Riverlands, which, you know, that's not what House Tully ever should have been.
I disagree. I think, honestly, as far as starting out, the House Tully deck they tell you to build out of a core and Lords of Winter is a fantastic starting deck. I think it plays solidly. I think it's viable. I don't think it's Tier 1. No, absolutely not. It may not even be tournament competitive, but I think it's a great way to start. And House Tully is there's like more Tully characters than actual Stark characters in the Stark faction at this point.
And I was just thinking, you know, him on a 2-claim plot turn with the new Blackfish means you're also getting all the prize power too for killing characters, and that's just stupidly awesome.
So yeah, you get 2. Yeah, you kill 2 guys. You get 2 prize from having the Blackfish. You got to swing with the Blackfish too.
He has to participate.
Blackfish gets his renown, and you get 2 power from Siege, and you probably get the unopposed.
Exactly.
That's a 2, 4, 5, 6 power swing
On a 1 challenge.
On a single challenge.
Undefendable, essentially.
So you think Star Siege will see a big comeback again?
Oh yeah.
I think it's one of those things. I think you'll see people try it out again, and it probably even goes to a heavier House Tully, like push even more into House Tully than like maybe even away from armies. House Stark Siege.
Now, as I mentioned on the Lannister one, though, there is a more large base of monocon military icons than probably any other icon in the game. So it is the one thing they have to be careful of.
But most of them are Starks.
Most of them are. But like, you know, Lannister has it in the Hound. You know,
Yeah.
he's a 4-strength monocon military icon, which, you know.
And Gregor as well.
Yeah, so I mean, they do exist, and there's
Yes.
more of them, but are they commonly played? No, but maybe they start coming back because of stuff like this.
That's what I was gonna say. You think with all these cards getting printed, more in deck construction, are you gonna make sure you have at least one of each of?
Maybe.
I don't know if you can. I think at that point you rely more on your targeted kill and you lean on your Valor. If your opponent, like if my opponent has, say they're Martell and they have Spy from Starfall, 2 Spy from Starfalls in play, which means I don't have a mono intrigue guy, which guarantees I'm not winning an intrigue challenge and they are winning an intrigue challenge against me every turn. That makes me think about my Valor a little earlier. Like it makes me at least consider it to say, do I Valor here? Valor picks me up 2 power at that point. And it wipes you away from having that, and until you can get like dead pile recursion stuff, which you know Mr. Seneschal guy does. Like actually I don't think he brings it because he would trigger. They're still moribund, but if they get him later.
So no, because his effect actually triggers once he enters the dead pile. So you go moribund dead, you move to the dead pile, then his response triggers.
After he leaves play.
Yeah, so he has to be in the dead pile, which is why that state works. So they all go to the dead pile, and you go, okay, now I'm triggering his response, you can put the Spy from Starfall back in play. I will say this about my main house, though. Lannister is the one house that's very, very well set up to play against these guys.
Yes, you guys have.
You have the gold weenies.
Yeah, the gold weenies, and they're all monocon of their whatever faction.
Do you have a power one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you do.
Greedy Councilor.
No, Stewards. Greedy Councilor is a 2 for 2.
Oh.
She's a 2 cost 2 strength, intrigue power. So we move on to my turn, I guess. Hand of the King. This is fantastic. Such a good card. 1 cost unique attachment, Stark, House Stark. It's a title, it's priced 1. You can only attach to a lord or lady character. Any phase, kneel Hand of the King to stand the attached character. Can we say Robb Stark? Army Robb.
I have 3 words that are better for you. Brienne of Tarth.
Yep, Brienne of Tarth as well.
Oh.
Let's have let's have a military and a power challenge where you can't trigger anything.
Again,
she's a lady.
You know, the big argument right now in Game of Thrones is are positive attachments worth playing? Positive attachments. Negative attachments are always generally fairly good.
Okay,
but our positive attachments, ones that give buffs to characters, are actually worth playing.
This one's fantastic.
It is, and I think if any house is set up well to do it, it's Stark. They have a lot of really, really good positive attachments. The problem is attachment hate is what it is. If you run up against a Targaryen player, you're not going to play any of them because Dragon Thief just will make your day a living hell. I guess it's unique, so they can't Dragon Thief it, but they can Viserys it, I suppose.
If you get 2 taps out of Rob the turn you play, it's probably worth a gold and a power.
Very good. It's a very good card.
2 other cavalry flanks is worth more than 1 and 1.
Of course, like any attachment, I wish it said setup, but you can say that about every attachment in the game.
That's pretty much every setup in the game, every attachment in the game.
But I think this will see some play. I think certain decks are going to want to abuse it. I can see it being played out of house because it's not restricted to any house. So
it's restricted to a lord or lady, so some houses will have more trouble with that than others.
You can put it on Bob. I mean, double renown Bob standing. I mean, I'm going to stand myself back up and swing again. I mean, why not?
Robert Baratheon and Hand of the King. Just
this so won't be with the recursion Bob?
He's limited. They actually errated him, so he's limited 3 times per phase.
Oh, okay. No, that's Shadows Bob.
Which recursion Bob?
The one that play events from the design.
Oh, yeah.
Remember they had that Baratheon deck?
But you need a way to stand the attachment is the problem. So, again, what this does, though, is it makes Maesters more competitive again. I mean, Maesters are always living for things that allow them to...
No, Maester is a lord or lady.
Treatment. Yeah, I guess it would fall off.
The second they stop being a lord or lady, it falls off. So.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Which is one of the really good design things.
Yeah.
And also, fluffy as hell that that lords and ladies, that you have to have a lord or lady be Hand of the King. You can't have any. You cannot have your flea bottom scavenger be Hand of the King. They're just not important enough.
Yep. Oh, the 3 worst cards in the pack are next.
Okay, Targaryen, 0 cost, attachment, unique, black dragon egg, prize 1, limit 1 per deck. Attached character gains deadly. Response: after black dragon egg leaves play, search your deck for a copy of Drogon or a black hatchling, reveal it and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck.
So let's talk about all 3 of these together since they all do the same thing.
Sounds good.
The green egg gives you melee, and the white egg gives you stealth, and they basically say go get Rhaegal, Viserion, or Drogon based upon the color that you play. So go ahead, Jesus, give us your thoughts.
I know most people hate this card, and I agree. If it had setup, I think it would have been better. But is it a tier 1? I don't think so. Is it thematic? Hell, it is. A dragon deck, I think it just makes it kind of better. I don't see the reason why it should have had prize 1. I don't see it that strong. But again,
I think that's a thematic thing. Dragon eggs are supposed to be rare.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is why you get the wool. You also get the 1 per deck because there's only 1 of each of the eggs in existence. In the
Okay,
as far as
true.
you know.
That's the other thing I was going to say. And the key words, I think they're strong key words. All 3 of them are. Stealth, deadly, and melee.
So here's what would have made these good, at least. Setup, obviously, but more importantly, ambush. Being able to ambush any one of those 3 keywords into play would have made these playable.
Ooh.
Ambush on a 0 cost is something I've not seen them do, and I don't know that they should.
Well, they could have made them 1 cost, removed the prize requirement, and made them ambushable. Because being able to ambush in deadly, melee, not so much stealth, but those 2 keywords.
To play it when they're not expecting it. I mean,
would have made these at least playable. It would have made them good, but it would have made them playable.
Ambushing stealth actually is a better defensive play than an offensive play.
So I think I would have maybe even considered them then, but the problem is there's other better tutor in the game for dragons right now. That already
There's
exists.
only 1.
There's 2 different cards that you go search for creatures. One that actually specifically lets you search for dragons, one that you search for creatures.
Yeah.
Dragons are creature cards, you can go find them. And you can run 3 copies of them in your deck. I mean, that's really what it boils down to at the end of the day, whereas these you're limited with 1 of each. So I don't know. Again, I think this is just FFG wanting to do something thematic, and maybe there's going to be some reason in the future why these might be useful, but as it stands right now, I don't think any Targ player, let alone a Dragon player, goes and plays them.
So after we talked about these for the past 2 minutes, I'm actually going to be putting 1 or 2 of these into my Targ deck.
I thought you didn't like it.
I didn't. I recently built a Targ deck. I wanted to try using the new, some of the new unkillable dragons, and I think these are a cool way to go and fetch the appropriate ones. Honestly, I've completely forgotten these have the benefit while they're in play, other than kill this character, kill the character when the character dies, go and get stuff. So I'm probably going to try stealth, maybe not so much the deadly, but the melee and the stealth, because Kill Daenerys doesn't have stealth, and Kill Daenerys could use melee.
Yeah, but are you going to kill Daenerys to pop the egg?
No, probably not. I'm going to use it for melee or stealth.
Yeah.
I mean, and you
Oh
know
wait,
what?
you can't Dragon Thief them out, but you could Viserys them out.
You could Viserys. I mean,
Yeah, you can kill the attachment to go and search for your dragon if you really want.
the thing is if you're using them just for the dragon search, you're trading 2 cards for 1. That's bad.
Exactly, that's bad. That's why I say to use it to get stealth
The
on
keywords,
characters. Pri would love to have stealth and melee.
This is
And don't get me wrong, like any character would love to have those 2 things, but there's some characters in a Targaryen deck that if they can attack alone, or if they like Daenerys, if she attacks and is successful, bad things happen.
So I will point out that if any house can actually abuse these, it's Targaryen. They have tons of attachment recursion in house, so you can go search for dupes of dragons if you really wanted to. I mean,
Searching for dupes that.
but you're trading prize 1 every time you do it.
That's power you can steal.
So
that's one of the things I like about prize is you can give your.
I'd have been okay if these had been put them into play. Even if they had been put into play, no.
Honestly, the one thing I would have actually liked to see more than search and put into play, if these were search for the hatchling and put into play, that would have been probably my preferred thing, because you run these with the full dragon, with the regular dragons, and the hatchlings that when they come into play, if the real dragon's in play, you attach as an attachment. These would have been awesome.
All right, you're up next, Tree.
All right, in the hands of the Qohorik. I think that's how that's pronounced. Neutral faction only.
Yes.
Props to the neutral faction. This is a prized 1 event. During the plot phase, plot action, choose an opponent. That player must choose his or her next plot card at random.
This is just being neutral.
Holy crap. This is so much fun. So turn 1, you can tell your opponent, hey, get a power and choose your plot at random. Any important turn, the turn where they really need to Valor, and they have 4 or 5 plot cards left, you have about a 20 to 25% chance of getting your Valor. You play it, late in the game where they're trying to pin their Valor back to that last turn to try to win on turn 6. Turn 6, 50-50 shot of doing your Valor on yourself instead.
One of the big values in this are any of the plots that cycle. So rivers and cities right now, we know castles are coming up.
Yep.
Totally screws you. Because now you only have X% chance to actually get the one you need this turn versus...
If you mummers forward on turn, if this forces your opponent to mummers forward on turn 1, you get to laugh at them so hard.
So, when I first started playing Thrones, I asked the question, why was neutral not supported more? And the answer I always got from the community was because neutral cards have to be balanced in the fact they can be run in any house. This is what you do to fix that.
Absolutely.
I think they need
100%.
to make neutral faction viable, but I think they do it by printing cards that are straight up neutral faction only. And we've already started to see them do that.
Which is good.
I was a Brave Companions does that, this does that.
I'm so, I don't know, hats down of FFG to do this. I really like it.
And I love that all of the Brave Companions characters, which is Zolo, High Septon Ut, and Vargo Oat, are all neutral characters that are they are totally playable in other decks, but they give you such a great advantage. Like most of them have an advantage when you play them in neutral, which encourages you to play neutral.
And they all have come into play abilities too, which is what Brave Companions actually supports, which is get them back to your hand and play them again.
Yep.
So, okay.
I did get to steal gold with Zolo the other day. It was only 1 gold, but I still felt good.
It feels good when it works.
Like, give that gold, you don't get to do shadows.
So this is probably the best card of the pack. Royal Decree.
I'm already aftermath is better. Only just.
Royal Decree. This is the very first decree I think we've seen.
No, we've had other decrees, but
Other
the previous decrees have been attachments.
Okay. So this is an event. It's priced 2. A little bit of a steep cost, but for what it does. Response: cancel the effects of an event card just played. Non-prized event cards cannot cancel this effect.
Paper Shield can suck it.
So let's look at the current meta. Harrenhal is about the only thing that wrecks this card.
Yep, Harrenhal cancels this.
Yeah, he calls it Thinking won't do it. Paper Shield doesn't do it. Hand's Judgment doesn't do it. Atlantis doesn't do it. It's only Harrenhal. Well, actually, no, Atlantis can, because she's a character, so she's not a non-prized event card. So
true.
So there's very few cards that are going to cancel you playing this, because getting this canceled is going to suck.
This is the final counter spell, as it were.
Yeah.
If somebody cancels you, they don't get the prize.
They do get the prize. You don't get to trigger the effect.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem. So you have to make sure when you're going to play it, you're pretty damn sure it's going to go through. Because
basically, what counters this? Harrenhal counters this, and so does another Royal Decree.
yeah.
At that point, you're just trading 2 power with your opponent, and you don't get to cancel everything.
Yeah. Stupidly powerful though, very much needed. I like the fact that I no longer have to sit on 1 gold to trigger my cancel for an influence-based event, which is just fantastic.
Yep.
A lot of times I probably almost feel like I'd rather trade 2 power than have to delay my marshalling for a turn just in the hopes that I can play that Hand's Judgment that's in my hands.
Here's the crazy thing with me. I'd actually be willing to, at certain points there'll be time where you can do this. You can throw this card away at canceling some event that really doesn't matter to hand them 2 power to steal.
You can cancel your own event.
Yeah, you can be. Yeah, absolutely. You could. I mean,
why not?
you could play.
Nightmares.
I'll much and more, and I'll roll a decree my much and more. Have 2 power. I'm on 2 claim. I'll steal your 2 power.
Yep. So yeah, so
and those plays are going to piss your opponent off.
Especially if that's the last 2 powers you need to.
Exactly. You don't do that. You don't do that to get to 14. You do that to win.
But this is very much a card. Cancel Calls It Thinking. Cancel. A lot of those really stupidly strong events out there that you just don't want to see played. Specifically coming up, we have in the next pack Wheels Within Wheels. It's probably the most powerful card in the entire cycle, which people are already arguing needs to be on the restricted list, which we won't even go there.
It's not even out.
It's a brutally powerful effect.
It is.
So, but this is exactly why it probably will never end up on the restricted list, simply because you have a card that's a straight up answer to that.
And there's no, honestly, short of the fact that you had your opponent prize power, there's no reason not to replace your paper shield with this.
Yes. Oh, this card.
Heads on a Pikes. It's an event. Prize 1. Any phase. Each opponent discards the top 2 cards of his or her deck. Yes, there's female people that play this game. For each character in his or her deck pile. Limit 1 per round.
So good.
I don't know, except for our Greyjoy, I don't see it.
No, this is fantastic. So post Valor, you'll average 12 cards of this.
Here's what, taking from, we were watching streaming yesterday, and at one point, someone played a Silent Sisters that was 15 strength. If you hit that dude with Heads on Pikes, he discards 28 cards off of the top of his deck.
This is really good.
This is a late game card. This is even if you're only planning to go through your plots once before you win, it doesn't, again, this is great for just like Rules by Decree. It doesn't cost you anything. It costs you a card out of your hand, it gives them a power for you to steal, and it dumps a bunch of their dudes into their discard pile.
This ruins my Gates of Winterfell deck, by the way. Because I need all my stalwart guys going to the back of the top of my deck every turn. So if you do actually put characters in my discard pile, you only need 1 or 2, and you can force me to discard those guys, it wrecks my Gates of Winterfell deck.
Valor, and then this against the HOD Gates of Winterfell is a very strong
play. You think we'll see play in the middle?
Oh, I think you'll see all that play all over the place.
I think it's a great, it's in any phase, so you can do it early, you can do it late.
So you don't even have to build a deck.
Herald.
No.
Look at the Herald card. So your opponent plays a Herald, he goes and fetches Rothstar, Cersei, whoever. Frickin' the Viper. Puts them on top of his deck, I have an action. Discard the top 4 cards of your deck because you have 2 characters in your deck pile.
Yeah.
Bye.
And Grant, the HOD Gates is a very skewed deck, and it's seeing a fair amount of play because it looks fun to play. It is fun to play. But yeah, this card is a great counter to. You just tell them no, you lose whatever you got.
Same thing with Rivers. You have the River that lets you return a card back to the top of your deck. A lot of people play that on their Valor turn so that they can save their important character. Okay, so Valor fires, you return that back to the top of your deck. Discard.
Yeah, before the draw phase, we'll.
Yeah.
Yep.
It completely shuts down anything that says, I want you to put cards back on top of your deck. Think about the recursion decks that have been floating around, which we'll get to the restricted list in a different video that's fixed a lot of those. But the same thing, I'm going to return these 4 cards to the top of my deck. Okay, you have how many characters in your deck pile? Discard them back in your discard pile.
If you're at 57, 58 cards in your deck and you're not quite sure what to add, that card's not bad at all.
Yeah.
It's
going to get work out of every game you play.
Alright, our final card of the pack is the Aftermath. It's a plot card.
I want to play that.
Yeah, this card's the art is fantastic on this one. It's very well done. It gives you 3 income. It gives you 7 initiative, and it gives you a claim of 1. It is prized 1, so when it goes to your use pile, your opponent's going to get a power from it. At the end of the marshalling phase, each player chooses up to 3 cards he or she controls.
Characters.
Characters he or she controls. All characters not chosen are discarded from play and cannot be saved. It's a wildfire that fires after the marshalling phase. Which means that at the end of the marshalling phase, you will have 3 dudes, your opponent will have 3 dudes, and hopefully your dudes are better than their dudes.
Yep.
This card is awesome.
This card is a 100% setup for the next cycle, in my opinion, too. The next cycle, specifically from what we've seen so far, really embraces this concept of play power characters. Play expensive dudes that have stupidly good abilities, so they're quality over quantity. And this is just gorgeous for that. We were talking about this before we started recording today.
This screams quality. This balances out all of the refugees that have come back. The refugees and the gold weenie and all that. Nobody picks those as their 3 characters that are sticking around, unless they're the only ones they have.
Well, you look at like a deck like maybe like Greyjoy Choke, for example, which plays a lot of suboptimal characters because they just want to flood the board with cheap dudes.
Fishermen.
And now all of a sudden, you've got a board full of 7, 8 dudes as a Greyjoy Choke players, they're all 0, 1, 2 gold. Who do you actually end up saving? You're not going to save quality characters. You never played any. So I mean, my Gates and Winterfell deck will be crushed by this.
And the Greyjoy saves. The Greyjoy the saves don't do anything against it.
I also think it's
you'll recover, but not till the next turn.
Not till the next turn.
And that's the biggest thing it does is it lets you set yourself up for a strong challenges phase. And that 7 initiative on there, as opposed to the 0 initiative on Valor or the 4 initiative on Wildfire, means you might actually get a chance to use your characters going first.
And you know, anything that raises claim is going to be brutal with this. If you can get a claim 2 challenge off from the same turn this is up, or you plot cycle into a claim 2 plot, you're going to wreck your opponent's board. I mean, hands down. It's going to be brutal.
Also note, this is not a one revealed plot. This cannot be canceled by outwit.
The best you can hope to do is to force your opponent to cycle into something else. So you start looking at cards again. We kind of joked about the Warden for the Baratheon side, which forces your opponent to reveal a new plot card. Maybe you start running if this becomes so prevalent, you know?
Here's the real question I want to ask you guys. Does this replace Valor?
No, I think, well, yes and no. It depends on your deck. If you're running a deck like mine where I didn't run Valor, yes, this gets slotted in and I drop another plot.
Yep.
Probably.
So. It probably makes my Martell Kings of Summer deck that I played in Regional.
For my Lannister deck, I will run this and Valor. Because my Lannisters are usually down on characters the entire game because I'm trying to kneel your board out, and this makes hyper kneel even better.
Yeah.
So.
Because you kneel down you kneel down their good characters and play this and ask them, do they want to save their really good Nelk characters or their mediocre untapped characters?
Exactly.
Meanwhile, you're keeping
Cersei,
Tyrion, and Jaime.
Yeah.
And you look at them and say, I've got the family, what do you got?
Yeah, exactly.
You have tapped guys who are going to die in my military.
I think 2 things. One, I think it's very good also in Martell. They have strong characters, you know. I got the Viper and the Chickies. They saw on this one extra intrigue.
Viper, Ariane, and someone else to bounce with Gaston Grey.
You say 2. That way they have to kill down to 3. You know. Also, I played this. Go second. They go. They don't want to play nothing, so they're keeping all their gold. Here comes Zulu. Thank you so much. Take over all their gold. You know, it's a little janky.
I think you want to go first if you play this.
I think so too.
Because
I think you want to take advantage of having the better characters than them.
Yeah, because the worst thing you want to end up with is say like playing on a Lannister as an example. I end up with no military icons on my saves, which could happen.
Or worse, you end up with military icons that don't have stealth, and they end up with like carrion bird.
Yeah.
And you're like, I lose to carrion bird.
You don't want to lose your characters first. You don't want to be the first person to have to defend that turn. You want to go first, which with a 7, let's be fair, you should go first. Yeah. So I think it's a great card. It's prize 1. Maybe it should have been prize 2 in all honesty.
I think it's fine. I think it's great as prize 1. I think that if this card was Valor at the end of the marshalling phase and had those numbers, it'd be prize 2, maybe even prize 3. Which that'd be insane, a prize 3 plot, good lord.
Yeah.
But the one other thing with this, just like Wildfire Assault, it says choose up to 3 characters. If you're playing Martell, if I'm playing Martell and I have 5 characters in play, one of whom is the Red Viper, another of whom is somebody I want to keep, I can choose just those 2 characters and lose the other 3, assuming you're going to pick 3 characters to keep. My Hyper Viper is ready to roll.
One question: who picks first?
First player decides.
First player chooses their characters first.
No, first player decides decides the resolution of all triggered effects on that turn.
No. Triggered. They choose what order the effects trigger in. The first player chooses their cards first.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you'll know I'm keeping the Red Viper and a dude, and you'll probably use dirty words.
But yeah, I mean, it's fairly easy though to look at your opponent's board and know what they're going to keep. I mean, but really, what this does is, I mean, if you think about it, it not only kills, but it basically negates the entire marshalling phase for the turn. Especially if you're behind, you really want to play this. Because if you only got 1 dude on the board and you drop this, and your opponent's got 3 or 4, he's not going to marshal anything. Unless he has a better quality character in his hand.
He's going to play down better quality characters. You're going to play down until you have 3.
Yep.
And then, assuming you've won initiative, you're probably going to kill at least one of his 3 characters.
Exactly.
Okay, guys. Again, thank you for being with us.
Prize of the North.
Yep. Fantastic pack. Not the best pack of the cycle. I think Baratheon, Lannister, and Neutral probably won the pack in all honesty.
I think Baratheon won on theme alone. The three Night's Watch Baratheon cards is awesome.
Yeah.
Great. I'm glad to see them go on that.
I think I might actually revisit Night's Watch now that we've gotten some of these. I was waiting for the new wall to even really take a dive into Night's Watch again. So now that we have it,
I think it's a great place to start.
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us. See you guys in the next video.
Have a good one.
See ya.